U.S. President Donald Trump has signed his landmark policy bill into law a day after Congress narrowly passed it. The signing event at the White House enacts key parts of the Trump agenda, including tax cuts, spending boosts for defense, and the immigration crackdown. There was a celebratory atmosphere at the White House as Trump signed the bill ahead of Independence Day fireworks and a military picnic attended by pilots who recently flew into Iran to strike 3 nuclear sites. Trump told reporters or supporters it will unleash economic growth, but he must now convince skeptical Americans, as polling suggests many disapprove of parts of the bill. Several members of his Republican Party were opposed because of the impact on rising U.S. debt, and Democrats want the bill would reward the wealthy and punish the poor.
In a few moments, we're going to make official the greatest victory yet when I sign the one big, beautiful bill. And before I start, I want to tell you that I've never seen people so happy in our country because of that, because so many different groups of people are being taken care of, the military and civilians of all types, jobs of all types. We're adding things like the biggest tax cut in the history of our country, child tax credits. So many things are being added that we wouldn't even have time to discuss them. When we were doing it, John Thune and Mike Johnson right there, I see Mike, what a job they've done. What a job they've done. But you know, it was supposed to be in 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 different bills. And I was on one of the fake news shows and I said, let's do it in one beautiful, big, we want one big, beautiful bill. I said that to this newscaster, and I think a lot of the congressmen and senators were watching, and they said, let's name the bill that, the one big, beautiful bill. And that's what we did. And what we've done is put everything into one bill. It's never happened before. It's the biggest bill of its type in history. We've never had anything like that before. Nothing like that they thought would be possible to get passed. And actually, I liked it because we had so much in there that no matter who you are, there was something in that bill that would make your congressman or your senator or your congresswoman, much more importantly, raise their hand and support, right, Lisa? So that was something, and it was really something special. So the American people gave us a historic mandate in November. We won everything. We won the swing states, all 7 swing states. We won every one. That rarely happens. We won the popular vote. We won the districts, 2,750 to 505. That's why when you look at a map, it's all red, a little blue on each end, but it's all red. And by the way, red means Republican, just in case. But we made promises, and it's really promises made, promises kept, and we've kept them. This is a triumph of democracy on the birthday of democracy. And I have to say that the people are happy. They're happy. And I listened to a broadcast, and I read a couple of articles. They have the Democrats, they should have voted for it. They didn't vote for tax cuts. They didn't vote for taking care of people. They didn't vote, not one vote. And we knew that because their hatred of either the country or me or both is so great. They didn't vote at all, and it's terrible. But I just have to say, they have a routine.
Well, I have joining me now Angela Fobbs, Director of Strategic Initiatives. She joins me from Mainz in Germany to discuss the fears being expressed by Democrats and some Americans abroad about that tax, bill, or the big, beautiful bill. Now, Angela, good evening to you. It's very obvious that a lot of Democrats are against that bill. I mean, it's been passed. Could you give us a clear perspective from a Democrat's point of view as to what it means for America?
Good evening. The reason that so many Americans don't think this bill is a good idea is because it cuts $1.3 trillion in food assistance and health assistance, which is the exact amount of tax breaks for the wealthy. So they cut actual people's life-sustaining needs, their food, their medicine, being able just to go to the doctor, just to give the exact same amount to wealthy people who they are wealthy, they don't need this money. It rips away healthcare from about 17 million people with cuts in Medicaid, Medicare, and the Affordable Care Act, which is this is the largest cut in Medicaid in the history of America. It puts over 300 rural hospitals at risk of shutting down and ripping away services from people who may have to drive 3 or 4 hours or longer to get to an actual hospital. And it definitely takes about five food away from 5 million Americans. And that also affects our farmers. So this bill has a lot of things in it, and maybe some of them might help people, but I think that it will actually do more damage to our construction jobs, to our renewable energy sector, which is at risk of losing about 2 million jobs from this. And it will also increase people's energy bills. There are a lot of things in this bill, and none of them are beautiful, but they are all big changes for America.
Well, that's the reason why we're here to talk about it. Now, according to Republicans, the 1% of that bill favors, or shoulders almost 43% of the taxes, talking about those at the top, the rich bosses, the oligarchs. According to Republicans, they're shouldering 43% of the taxes in the U.S. And of course, that's the reason why this bill is a big, beautiful bill. And that's the reason why it's justifiable. What's your take on it?
Well, the rich, some of them pay their taxes. A lot of them, as a percentage wise, pay less than what an average middle class or working class person would pay. So, but your taxes are based on your income. So they should pay bills. They should pay as much taxes as they're required to. And right now, most rich people don't really pay taxes. It's the same thing with corporations. They don't really pay taxes. So the burden of the American infrastructure and whatever happens in America is now on the shoulders of the middle class and the working class and the poor.
Now, the Senate, knows better if the bill favors most Americans, but still passed this tax bill. What do you expect in the coming months, for Americans? And before we go into a breakdown proper of what it does to healthcare, you talked about renewable energy and all of that. So let's have your take on that.
Well, I think over the next few months, the American people are going to find out more of what's in this bill precisely and how it's actually going to affect their lives. They had such a large bill, 900, almost 1,000 pages. There is no easy way for people to know what's in it, including the people that voted on it. And we're going to find out. We're really at the find out stage. And yeah, all we can do at this point is make sure everybody knows what's happening and figure out ways for the states to defer the cost and keep people from suffering any more than they will.
That means the states play a role in all of this. But, Trump told supporters it will unleash economic growth. How possible, from what perspective do you think he's speaking from?
Well, he has some ideas about how he has some old-fashioned ideas about trickle-down economics, which I think we all know don't work. We discovered that in the Reagan administration in the 80s. That if you give money to corporations and to wealthy people, that somehow it will expand the economy. But in actuality, the middle class, the poor, the working class spend more of a percentage of their income. And so if they have less income to spend, then the economy will not grow in the way that it's forecast. Also, with the fact that we have a potential of losing so many jobs in the renewable energy sector and in the medical sector, I'm not really sure how we're ever going to have an economy that grows again.
It's about, replacing all of that with artificial intelligence. But then can you do a breakdown of how this affects, the healthcare sector? Because that's one that's raised a lot of eyebrows. Seems like some people might not be able to access the healthcare, or Medicaid that they need. Can you break that down for us?
Well, one of the reasons that people might not be able to access healthcare is because they've added some work requirements that are going to be somewhat onerous to people. Right now, about a third of the people that are on Medicaid don't work. And there's reasons that they don't work. They're unable to work, or they are, a lot of times, they are caregivers that are taking care of people who are ill